Commercialisation of sport. Let's begin by talking about the golden triangle. Now, this is something you should be familiar with. We have sport, media, and sponsorship, and ultimately they go hand in hand and they benefit financially from one another. Sponsors pay sports teams and also provide them with products that they will promote. They promote this through displaying the brands and logos on sports equipment and kit. This is seen through the media and this is shared with large audiences, which means large audiences see the sponsors' logos and brands, and they are therefore more likely to use the product or buy the product. Okay? Sports benefit from the media because sports teams obviously have their performances shared with the world, and this could result in increased shirt sales. And then the media write up contracts with sports teams, and the media make more money because they play competitive fixtures, and as a result they generate larger audiences, which means greater engagement, and that results in increased revenue for companies like Sky Sports News and BT Sport. And let me give you another example outside of the football world. If we think Anthony Joshua, one of the best British fighters of all time, he has a massive contract with Under Armour. Now, Under Armour have been a massive company in America for a long time. I remember being out there years ago working, and every child that I worked with had Under Armour trainers, they had Under Armour t-shirts, and so on. Now, it's only in recent years that Under Armour has started to become a big and popular store in the UK. Now, I might assume that that could be a result of Anthony Joshua being one of the faces of Under Armour, because people tie Under Armour with Anthony Joshua. Now, if Anthony Joshua can wear an Under Armour t-shirt, then why can't I? So for that reason, people are more likely to buy the products that Under Armour are selling because of Anthony Joshua proudly endorsing and supporting the product. Another example I might share with you, Mo Farah, Corn. Now, Mo Farah, we know, was an unbelievable endurance athlete, running marathons, half marathons, 1500 meters, and so on. Now, knowing that at that particular time, he was probably one of the fittest people in the world, if Corn is good enough for him, and he is seen to be the face of Corn, which is all about nutrition and food that we might consume and food that contains high levels of protein, then again, the person at home, the consumer, is more likely to buy the product because if it's good enough for Mo Farah, one of the best athletes in the world, then of course it's going to be good enough for the average Joe that sat at home. Now, I've mentioned individuals for you. Let's go bigger. Let's think teams and clubs. If we go back to football, Manchester City, what's their home ground called? Yes, it's called the Etihad. If we think Arsenal Football Club, what's it called? It's called the Emirates Stadium. Okay, so constantly when we think about the home grounds of these particular football clubs, we're not just thinking about Arsenal and Manchester City now, we're naturally thinking about the Etihad, which is a massive organisation, which is obviously the face of Manchester City. We're thinking about the Emirates, which is also another massive organisation associated with Arsenal Football Club. So let's move on and think about sports and sporting events and cup competitions. These cup competitions are constantly being renamed. Let me have a look at my iPad for you. So in 2004 to 2012, Carling sponsored what you know as the Carabao Cup. In 2012 to 2016, it was Capital One. In 2016 to 17, there was no main title sponsor, which is quite interesting. So it was called the English Football League Cup. And in 2017, up until this point, Liverpool were the most recent winners, if you didn't know. So up until this point, to 2024, the cup is now called the Carabao Cup. I could honestly talk about commercialisation all day long. There are so many real life examples. that you might be aware of that I haven't actually mentioned. So feel free to drop them in the comment section and ask a question if you feel the need to do so. And before we move on, I just wanted to summarize some of the key points, some of the key facts that you might put in your answers in response to a question about commercialization. So looking at the positives and negatives, I might occasionally have a look at my left-hand side just to recall some of these points for you. So firstly, of course, through commercialization, we become more aware of a product and a service. Okay, so therefore are more likely to use the service or buy the product. We become more aware, and not only that, but it actually promotes a positive image of a company. If we're really interested in a particular sport and that sport is associated with a company, we are likely to have a positive perception of that company. And of course, because of commercialization, there is always going to be increased sales, revenue, and financial gain for these companies. Now, the negatives. Investment is uncertain. It is not always guaranteed. If in any sport you go further down the pyramid, so you go into the lower leagues, the lower divisions, it is always incredibly difficult to get sponsorship deals because the bigger companies, the bigger organizations sponsor the best divisions and the best sports teams because they are likely to be more popular and therefore generate more revenue for the sponsor. Also, if an event is interrupted, this could result in reduced media exposure, which means advertisement of a product is lost. So this could potentially affect sales. And also, bad publicity associated with a sport or a sports performer could negatively impact on a sponsor. So let's look at a recent example. Zuma in recent months kicked a cat, and this was shared all over social media platforms. And as you can imagine, quite rightly so, people went absolutely mad. And for that reason, Adidas actually withdrew their sponsorship deal with Zuma because rightly so, they do not want to be associated with such poor behavior. Positive and negative impacts of technology on sponsors. So as technology has evolved, there are more cameras in stadiums across the globe. And as a result, you clearly pick up more angles when watching on TV at home. So therefore, you are more likely to see logos and brands. Due to this increased exposure, you are more likely to see the service or product being advertised and are therefore more likely to use it. And of course, this results in increased revenue for the sponsor. And on to the negatives. Players are constantly under the microscope via media, and for that reason, any poor performances, poor behavior, cheating, and even losing can be picked up quite easily. And for that reason, this can reflect badly on the sponsors. Guys, well done. You've made it to the end, and I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please do not be afraid of hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. I wish you all the best. See you soon. Bye-bye.